And now, if the recommendations of the panel that investigated police brutality is accepted, almost 500 million naira will be paid as compensation to victims. 72 police officers were indicted, and the chairman of the panel wants the federal government to ensure that appropriate action is taken on the recommendations. Arise News correspondent Punariman Benjamin tells us more.
2 years after the federal government inaugurated the panel to investigate cases of police brutality, the panel has just submitted its reports and recommendations. The panel was set up after a mass protest by young Nigerians against violations of their rights by members of the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. Most panels instituted by state governments have submitted their report, with some accusing the police of extrajudicial killings, extortion, harassment of female suspects, maltreatment, and torture. The Abuja Federal Panel also received petitions from across the country. It has now submitted its report after reaching decision on over 250 petitions. It is recommending compensation for about 100 victims while indicting about 72 police personnel. Out of the 250 petitions received, 95 were fully decided, 54 withdrawn, 33 struck out, and 57 referred to the National Human Rights Commission. 56 got judgment death. The panel recommended the prosecution of 28 police personnel, the dismissal of 25, and the reduction of rank of 4 personnel. It established 39 cases of extrajudicial killings and 30 cases of torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. The chairman of the panel says the government should not relent in ensuring petitioners get justice.
Here we are today at this epoch-making event to submit the final report after almost 2 years of hard work and commitments by the panel. It is our fervent prayer that the federal government, as a matter of urgency, look into this report and our recommendation with a view to implementing them.
The Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission says all recommendations made by the panel will be taken to authority for upward review.
All we are struggling is to banish impunity in our country. So we received this report of the Independent Investigative Panel on Human Rights Violations against SARS and other units of the Nigerian Police Force. This historic and grand occasion has been made possible by the monumental efforts of Honorable Justice Suleiman Galadima, JSC retired CFR, and the distinguished members of the Independent Investigative Panel.
So these victims packaged them as petition and sent them to the panel. And the panel, of course, received them because it is within our mandate. But what did we do? We have to verify that the judgments are really true and that the judgments were actually given by their lordships.
Overall, the decisions justify the grounds for the 2020 protest, and many will wait to see if the Nigerian government will implement the recommendations of the panel. Punariman Benjamin, Arise News.
To discuss the findings of the panel on police brutality, we're joined now by Aikpokpo Martins, who is a member of the panel and the first vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight tonight.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to start off by asking, let's just go straight to it. Interesting recommendations that have been made. Do you have faith that these recommendations will be accepted and implemented? I guess that's what most people really want to know at this point in time.
Thank you so much. First, I am the immediate past first vice president of the Nigerian
Thank you
Bar
for that
Association.
correction.
Yes. Well, if I don't have faith that the reports or the recommendation will be implemented in the first instance, I don't think I would have agreed to be a member of the panel. So on the very first day, I had that belief, and every member of that panel, we had the belief. And if you can, I read from a report that about $500 million is to be paid to victims it is not to be paid, it has been paid. They have already been paid, yes. Okay. And this is the first time. This is the first time the federal government will pay any amount of money arising from human rights violation. So that is already one of the aspects of our work, which is one of the most important to the victims. So if that has been done, I'm very sure, and we have all the faith that indeed the recommendations will be implemented to the latter.
That's fantastic. I mean, to hear that the federal government has actually, shown good faith by paying out the 500 million recommended by the panel. But help us understand what the key recommendations, were in this from this panel, and how soon should we expect, implementation of some of these recommendations? Yes,
first, the $500 million that has been paid is not the total amount to be paid. Okay. There's even more to be paid. Okay. But the money available at that time is the money that has been paid. So some people are still on the waiting list, and we are very sure that they will be paid. On the issue of the implementation of the order, we have a situation.
No, would like to know first of all the other recommendations.
The other recommendations.
Yes, the key recommendations.
Yes, the key recommendation is one, if you cannot put an end to impunity to this type of thing without sanction being imposed on those who have been found wanting, and that is the next step. The next step, and most persons are already asking us how many before today, how many persons were indicted, and now immediately after the report came out, what's going to happen to those that have been indicted, because that is one of the most important, because if there's no deterrence, there's no way these impunities can be stopped. Now, we have done our job. The implementation now rests with other authorities. But the most important authority that we have to implement this recommendation, particularly the one that has to do with the indictment of officers, it is the Police Service Commission. And for us who are in the administration of justice in Nigeria, we know that the Police Service Commission is like a moribund body. It does not work. All petitions treated to them, they don't even treat them. But in this particular instance, we have helped them to treat the petitions. We are only asking them for implementation. Well, from me, I'm from Nigerian Bar Association. We're part of. I represented Nigerian Bar Association in this panel. So it's not just for us at MBA. It's not over yet. We are going to ensure that these recommendations are meant to the latter. We are going to monitor to ensure that the Police Service Commission, they do the needful. I've discussed with the Executive Secretary of the Human Rights Commission, and he said in less than 2-3 months after studying and bringing out the names of those who have been indicted and the offenses they have been indicted for, they will write to the Police Service Commission for immediate implementation. And I expect that the Police Service Commission, upon the receipt of this report, they should place every officer indicted on suspension immediately before they go further to
investigate.
No, it's not. We have done the investigation. Really? Okay. In fact, it's for them to implement. All right. And we made the effort to ensure that we recommended the type of action we desire that it be taken against them. Because
what are some of those?
Yeah, you have the dismissal. That's where you have 25 persons for dismissal. You have for persecution. That's where you have about 28 persons for this. Okay. There are about 19 others for various kind of sanction, reduction in the post. And it is also interesting. It also interests us to know that in our finding, there were some police officers who were already retired by the time this petition, we started hearing these petitions. Some of these actions, some of the petitions members wrote to the panel, some took place 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But we took time to investigate, particularly from that Akuzu zone of Anambra State. So many terrible things happened in that place. Some of these officers are now retired. But we still recommended that despite the fact that they are retired, they should be dismissed. So that is a way to ensure that their gratuity or their pension is stopped, and their name will go into infamy for what they did.
Now, just listening to you, I just keep hearing about the Police Service Commission. Let's understand that there was a protest, right? And things happened at that protest that led to this panel, being put together. The role of the military, the soldiers. We did see the video. Lives were lost at this particular protest. It's become so bad that whoever wants to embark on a protest right now, there's that notion that it might be hijacked, as they've put it. Is the panel also addressing the incident that took place that particular night?
On the 20th of October,
yes.
of course,
yes,
2020.
I think thank you. This is a very fine opportunity to please to explain to Nigerians the difference between this panel, which is the federal government set-up panel, and the one that in the Lagos. If people recall, when the federal government set up this panel and ordered all states or requested all states to set up their panels, Lagos also set up their panel. At that time, the issue was strictly the issue of police violation of human rights of citizens. But after what happened at Lekki, then the Lagos State panel expanded its jurisdiction to now include military. But the federal government's panel, which I'm a member of, the jurisdiction was not expanded to include military.
Why is that?
Because the one that happened in Lagos, the Lekki issue particularly, was like a special case. So they extended it to cover only that aspect, not all-round military violation of human rights. So if you look at our report, those cases where we had to dismiss, or sorry, it's not the word dismiss, I think we struck out. Right. They had to do with petitions against officers of the army or any other law enforcement, or even against companies that were not against police. So we dealt strictly with police, and the petitions we dealt with it was not confined to only what happened within that period. Even to 10 years back, 5 years back, those who have cases against police officers who never had their matters heard, that was an opportunity for them to be heard. That's why you also have 56 cases for on the issue of judgment debt. Those who had won cases against the police for human rights violation and they were never paid. So they also brought these petitions to us that we won cases were never paid. So those were about 56 cases we also treated.
Right, so fantastic. Thank you so much. That's the
work of our panel.
Thank you so much for your work, and we hope that implementation of these recommendations will be sooner than later. John Aikpokpo Martins, thank you for joining us on News 99.